Welcome to Debunked. I'm Michael Brooks. Debunked is your guide to the conspiracy theories, rumors, and sometimes truths that lurk at the margins of the internet. On this Debunked, are African Americans more homophobic than the rest of the population? Now, this is a story that has been told for a very long time, in spite of voting patterns, obviously, amongst African Americans, which overwhelmingly support candidates who favor full marriage equality, and our first African American president being the first president to support full marriage equality while in office. Nonetheless, ever since the California anti-equality ballot proposition in 2008, which passed with African American support and showed overlap between African Americans voting for Barack Obama and against marriage equality, this story has developed and amplified in the popular culture. And you see it even in shows like Empire. This is a pretty broad conversation. Now, let's look at some research. Zach Ford's written this up in Think Progress. The Public Religion Research Institute, PRRI, has looked into specifically the attitudes, actually, of Black Protestants. So again, these are African Americans that are more likely potentially to be less favorable to LGBT rights because they're more religious. Now, let's look at some of the top lines from this research, and I'm going to quote Zach Ford now in Think Progress. PRRI's massive survey focused on three general questions: support for marriage equality, support for LGBT non-discrimination protections, and support for religious refusal exemptions, allowing businesses to refuse services to LGBT people based on their religious beliefs. Support for marriage equality was a bit low among Black Protestants, with only 38% supporting and 54% opposing. But on the other two measures, Black Protestants were overwhelmingly supported LGBT equality. They favored non-discrimination laws 64-31, and on the questions of religious refusals, Black respondents opposed exemptions at a higher rate than any other racial group, including white respondents. So basically, what this shows is that many Black Protestants are where almost all mainstream Democratic politicians were as recently as 2010, 2011. And obviously, it's no excuse. Marriage equality is an absolute necessity for any society that wants to call itself equal. But this is no significant widespread homophobia here. And I'll just like this stat as well. I'll pull this out as well. The study also showed that it turns out that religion, like geography, isn't even a factor for Black support. This is, again, quoting the article. It also turns out that, like religion, quote, geography isn't even a factor for Black support of LGBT non-discrimination protections. Alabama and Mississippi were two states that PRRI identified as having some of the lowest support nationwide. But Black Protestants in those states still supported LGBT protections and opposed religious refusals at fairly similar rates to the rest of the country, unquote. So, is there more work to do in all communities across America to still work for the cause for LGBT rights? Of course. But that said, do African Americans have a specific culture of homophobia that sets them apart from the rest of the country? Apparently not. Whether according to this research or their voting patterns, where they overwhelmingly support pro-marriage equality candidates, and obviously can identify with histories of repression and legal discrimination. So that is debunked.